Service to me is really just about serving one another and just being the person that wants to do good in the world.
And you're not helping them, you're asking them what can you do to make their experience better and like their life better. So it's not necessarily like a direct action, but you may just listening to them and understanding what they're going through can be a way to serve others.
I don't know, like service is just like you can find so much more about yourself. Like through helping others, you wouldn't even think about it, but you can just like learn more about what kind of person you are.
Service for me is like doing something every day. It's not just a one-time like moment or one-time like volunteering project. It's like doing it every day and living to like for something.
My personal definition of service is to kind of use your strengths and use what you're really good at and meet other people where they are. It can realistically be anything where just a few people are coming together and making the world better.
People don't necessarily need help, but they rather just need to, have their basic necessities and have their voice heard. So not even is it about physically helping people, it's about advocacy and learning and taking that and moving that forward, whether it's physically digging a hole at someone's house who can't do it themselves, or if it's just saying, hey, there's a water crisis in Flint, Michigan, and we need to do something.
I ended up volunteering at Ronald McDonald Camp, which is a camp in the Pocono Mountains where they will allow children who are currently going through cancer, as well as their siblings, to spend an entire week in the Pocono Mountains, doing full adventure things, kayaking, canoeing, going hiking, nature and science classes, arts and crafts, anything you can think of that a child might experience during a summer camp. And so they basically got a week away from the hospital, away from all the treatments and the needles and everything.
My service journey probably started pretty mainly when I got to college. I had been doing service my entire life, but I don't think I understood what I was doing. I think I thought that, oh, I'm helping people, I'm a good person, that's just what I want to do, la la la. But when I came to college, I had a lot more opportunities working with Habitat for Humanity. And then this past year, I led the first international trip to Guatemala.
If I were to describe it to someone that has never been through service before, it's kind of like an awakening. It definitely means something different to everyone. And I think that's what's so cool about service is because it has so many different definitions. It can kind of be done by so many different people in different ways, like donating money or doing direct service if you don't have that money.
I would say it's definitely a range. It's like a rainbow of emotions. You have the blue side, which is a little bit more sad. You have the yellow side, which is really happy, and in between it's fulfilling and reflective.
I don't think service is completely selfless, but because you definitely get that sense of gratification and it's like that warm and fuzzy feeling.
Service can be so little, like just listening to a friend who has problems or like trying to create change in the world based off of social issues or whatever.
I was really nervous going into Guatemala. We kind of compiled a lot of different people and just said, let's do it, let's do the best we can, let's try this totally new, different thing. And on the first day on the build site, I remember kind of taking a step back and looking at where we were and what we were doing, and everyone was really hard at work, really hard at trying to speak Spanish with the Masons, and that's kind of my snapshot because everyone was so immersed in what they were doing. I never really thought about communities other than my own, and even in my early service experiences, I thought of myself as someone going in and helping a community because I was here and they had less than I had, so I was gonna give my resources and help. And because of the service experiences I've had over the last couple of years that have built into my identity so much, I've realized that no one needs my help.
Sometimes people will go and do service and they're upset because they didn't see something physically happen in front of them, like, oh, we didn't build a whole house today, like I feel like I got nothing done. But honestly, just speaking to the people in the community and learning what they have to say and listening to them can sometimes mean more than actually doing anything for them at all.
When I was working with this child, his name was Jackson, and he had a brain tumor that confined him to a wheelchair at times. And other times he could stand, he could do all sorts of activities and things like that. but there would be flashes where he would be super energetic and happy, and other moments where he would kind of go into a shell and be very, antisocial, and that was due to the treatments he was going through. And he had a very hard time, kind of fitting in with the group of campers that we were, assigned to. At the end of the week, I got a really good hug from him, and it was awesome. And he was just full of life. Like afterwards, he said it was the best week he had ever had. Other times he said it was the worst week he's ever had, but that was just his personality. And at the end of it, I met his parents, and they said thank you for everything you did for him and stuff like that. Really, all of this was cemented when I found out Jackson had passed away. He passed away at some point, couple months or weeks after I had returned back from camp, and I had found out about it, and I was pretty much devastated because I, got to know him really well that week. And to find out he didn't, make it through his cancer treatments and things like that, and he relapsed, or, he fell into a slump, and then, he passed away. And for me, that's really frustrating, especially as a childhood cancer survivor, because I really want to see everyone get through this. I'm sure wherever he is right now, hopefully he's doing a lot better. But I think that whole experience of being a camper and a counselor, full circle type thing, really put things in perspective for me.
I think it's just something that it just engulfs you and consumes you, and you just feel like so full and warm, and like you want to do everything you can, to capture that moment in your everyday life.
I think that's really the definition of service in general, is just to change someone's perspective or change someone's opinion or life with however much or however little you can provide for them.
There's just different ways of doing it. There's not just one way. And you can also make your own path and do your own way of service,
I really always like that analogy of a spark turning into a flame, turning into that fire of passion. All it takes is a spark, and just kind of that little interest in service, and meeting that one person or doing that one act of service to kind of get you thinking, all right, I'm interested and I'm passionate. And then the whole thing goes up in flames in in a good way, passion flames.
Serving, it's just so much bigger than yourself. People always say that there's things that you can do that will change the community, and all these things that you think you might be doing that I'm sure you are, but when you actually get to a place and you dedicate an entire week to someone else, it's just the most amazing experience, and I think everyone should have that.
You want to gain perspective from this. So in a way, you're doing this because you want that. But again, it goes back to just realizing that you're also doing this because you can, and that you have the privilege to help others, or not necessarily help others, but serve others.
It's just go for it. You see an experience, you just have to, kind of jump at it and experience it for yourself, because it's not something that's easily described and understood until you've done it. And then I think that, you just get the service bug and you just want to keep doing it.
So there's different levels of service, and you don't have to jump right into spending a whole week sleeping on a floor and waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, because again, that's not for everybody, but there usually is something in some way or another, even if it's just, collecting money or collecting food and donating it to a cause, that's helping people more than you think. There really is no excuse as to why you can't serve somebody in some capacity.